Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to COS Indiana Live. I want to wish everyone a happy new year. And we're certainly looking forward to our broadcast year 2019. And so let's get started. And I'm going to bring myself on here. There I am. My name is Dale Parrish. I'm the state director for Convention of States here in Indiana. And just want to tell you the purpose of our broadcast, of all these broadcasts, is to inform you and reach out to those of you in the state and beyond, but primarily in the state of Indiana, that perhaps you have some knowledge of Convention of States, or you want to learn more, or hopefully maybe you have an interest in joining us and becoming part of our leadership team. So anyway, these broadcasts are intended to be for you, and we're going to focus on what we call the basics of Convention of States. And this, like I say, it's the basics. It's just the bare facts about Convention of States. But we'll give you some ideas on where to go to find out more information. But we're also going to, at least for now and one or two more presentations, we're going to be introducing you to members of our leadership team. And tonight, after we do our basics presentation here, tonight I have two individuals from our leadership team. These are both technology people. We call them system information analysts. And so you'll learn some more about what their role is and how they the role that they play here in our organization in Indiana. Okay, so I'm going to bring on a PowerPoint presentation, which will help us get through like I said, what we consider the basics. I'm going to give me just a second here to activate the slide presentation option here. Okay, and here we go. So first of all, in Convention of States, and this pertains to Convention of States all across the country, not just Indiana, but our main resource is a website, conventionofstates.com. This is our national website, and you'll hear us make reference to this website frequently. So that is the main source. Now, also embedded in that website is our state website page, Convention of States /Indiana. Then we have a Facebook page, Convention of States Indiana. We have a YouTube channel, COS Indiana. We're now on Twitter, #COS Indiana, and we're in the process of establishing an Instagram account. So we're going to be all across social media. So there's various ways to get in contact with us and to learn more about us. Our vision statement here in Indiana, very close to our national vision statement, but our vision statement here in Indiana is to build a Hoosier grassroots community of citizens and legislators dedicated to the constitutional concept of self-governance. That's what we're striving to achieve, and you'll note, you'll see the importance of, as we go on here, the importance of this grassroots community that we're talking about here. Just a few numbers for you. Here in Indiana, we just surpassed the 30,000 supporter threshold in the month of December for the year 2018. And we're growing at a rate of about 40% annually. So we're really moving along here in Indiana. In 2019, our goal is to achieve 40,000 supporters. Hopefully, we'll be able to surpass that goal. Of the 30,000 supporters, we have about 2,500 that have expressed an interest in volunteering in some form or another. We have 32 people right now in leadership positions, and we are looking for more people that might be interested in taking on a leadership role. Once again, I would direct you, here's this website again, I would direct you to our conventionestates.com website and select the menu option of Take Action and scroll down and look at the different positions, volunteer positions that we have available here in the state. If any one of those positions might be of interest to you, make application. You're not obligated in any way. Go ahead and make application, and one of us will be in contact with you to further discuss that position. Okay, let's get into now what we consider the basics, and that is the problem, what we see as the problem with our federal government, what the solution is, and what our plan is. So those are the three parts of Convention of States. When we talk about the problem, basically we're saying our federal government's pretty much out of control, and they really lack the courage and willingness to make the basic structural changes that are necessary. We're going to go into these a little bit here, not in any detail, but once again, no political party necessarily responsible. This has been going on for decades. This is not something that has been created just in the past administration. Like I said, this has been going on for decades. Okay, as part of the problem, we see the problem broken down into three major abuses by the federal government. The first one, of course, is our debt issue. Again, we're not going to go into detail here, but you all know about our debt issue. We're over 21 trillion. Nothing's being done really to control that. We think that is something that needs to be obviously addressed. The second abuse is the regulatory crisis. Still, the administrative state is still considered the fourth branch of government. Yes, I know the current administration has eliminated some regulations, but what we need to do is we need to establish control over future regulation creation, and we need to eliminate more and more regulations. So we need to control that, and we need the states to be involved in controlling that. And finally, the loss of state sovereignty. This is when our government was created, I should say, the concept of dual federalism was in place. That's where the states and federal government shared power. Well, that balance has been tilted way in favor of the federal government. So we need to take steps to reestablish the sovereignty of our states. Okay, our solution, we believe, is contained in Article 5 of our Constitution. And in Article 5, two methods of proposing amendments to the Constitution are described. And that's what we're all about. we're going to talk about these two methods, and I'm going to show you what Convention of States is really all about here. The first method is of amending the Constitution according to Article 5. This we've seen happen many times, and that's where Congress proposes amendments to be made to the Constitution. Those proposed amendments then go to the states to be ratified and have to be ratified by 3/4 of the states, or 38 states. Well, there's a second method in Article 5. We're not creating this now. It's already in Article 5. And that is where if 34 states, or 2/3 of the state legislatures, call for the creation of a convention of states for the purpose of amending the Constitution, any proposed amendments that come out of that convention then would have to go through the ratification process, the same process as in the first method of amending the Constitution. Any proposed amendments would have to be ratified by 3/4 of the states, or 38 states. But the thing here is that the proposed amendments would come out of a convention, and that convention requires 34 states to be called. Now, Indiana is, there are 12 states have passed a resolution to call for this convention so far. Indiana is one of those 12 states. We were number 6. So we are considered a passed state. All right. Well, our plan is twofold. The first is the application, which in other words is the resolution that 34 states need to pass. And like I said, 12 have already passed it. We have already drawn up the application for these states to utilize in passing the resolution. And the application calls for fiscal restraints, limiting the power and jurisdiction of the federal government, and term limits. Those are the 3 areas that our application deals with, and that's what we're wanting to get 34 states to utilize in calling for the Convention of States. And the second part of our plan is mobilizing the grassroots. You know, I mentioned the grassroots earlier. The grassroots, in Convention of States, the grassroots is the most important part of our structure. When I say grassroots, I'm talking about you and me, people out here in the states. We're the ones talking to our state legislators, which are the ones that are going to make this whole thing happen. So, like I said, we're moving along great. We're now in all 50 states. So we continue to grow the grassroots because it's so very important to what we're trying to do. All right, let me get back now to our presentation, and I'm going to be bringing on our guests here, if they're still here. And all right, gentlemen, I'm going to be bringing you on here. And we have one, and now we're going to have 2 here very shortly. Ladies and gentlemen, this I want to introduce to you. Let me get the right. Which one was I going to use here? Can't remember how we were going to do this here. I guess that's a little better, isn't it? All right. Above me here on the screen is Gary Rowe, and over to the left there is Tim Heidenreich. And these 2 gentlemen are what we refer to as system information analysts. So SIAs, in other words. we're big on acronyms in Convention of States. So what I'm going to first do is I'm going to ask each of these gentlemen to give us what we refer to as their story. How did they get involved in Convention of States? So Jerry, why don't you lead off?
Okay, how did I get involved? That would go back to about 2015, I think, at least. And I suppose I got involved first by reading Mark Levin's book. And of course, he was on the radio before the book was released, kind of leaking little details about it, his book, The Liberty Amendments. And so when it came out, I got that book and read it and completely changed my understanding of Article 5, because there were people out there saying it's a bad thing and all that, So, and what his book did was just explain that it's a very good thing. And so that was 2015, I think. And so I started researching Article 5 after that and on my own, and looking up the different founding documents and what was in them. And eventually I wrote a little blog just to save my answers to people that I was debating with. And then, when it come up with the same question over and over and over, I just, hey, here's the answer to that question. And so then in the fall, probably November or so, David Long was in Fort Wayne and giving a talk that happened to cover Article 5. And I met him there. And he's this Indiana State Senator Pro Tem, just retired here this past year, I believe. Mm-hmm. And so, I supported him there because he was telling it like it was. And they passed the Indiana legislative laws for delegates, I think, just before that. So anyway, after that, I did the blog. Then I started reading about different Article 5 groups. And when it came down to it, Convention of States was the only one that covered all the bases and did it right. So I had Diane Gomez up to the Tea Party meeting there in Grant County. And she gave a talk, and she tried to talk me into being a district captain. But I said no, because I was planning on moving, and I didn't want to move out from underneath there and leave that job hanging. So I held off, and I turned out really well because another guy there volunteered for that same job just shortly after that. I think that same night, actually. And she said, well, they're talking to me there. She was a district captain herself at the time. They're trying to talk me into taking this job as state leader, what is it? Not state leader, state director.
State director.
Yeah. And so she did take that job. And then about November of the same year, she said, hey, they just came out with this new job called SIA, State Information Analyst. Maybe you want to do that. I said, oh, that looks just great because I can live anywhere. And I can certainly do the job. So I took that and started doing it just early in 2016 there, January.
Okay.
So, and been doing it ever since. And since then, Tim has come on, and we've got another guy in training. So there'll be three of us. And actually, a little before Tim came on, when we passed is when it was. I started taking on some national stuff because we'd passed, and it's time to help other states. So I'm on the Convention of States help desk, and there's where we.
Hold on, we're gonna get to what you do.
Okay,
a little later.
Well, I think we probably pretty well covered most of that then.
Well, we'll come back to you. Okay, Tim, why don't you tell us a bit about your story then?
Well, I've been interested in this type of a movement for several years. I was in the Tea Party back probably around 2008 or so when I saw it just seemed like our country was really going downhill fast. Things were going pretty bad, and I thought I need to get involved in this. So I got involved in the Tea Party for a few years, and then actually I don't know how this happened, but I kind of transitioned over into the Convention of States. When I saw a call go out, they wanted people to come down to the State House as a surge and talk to the lawmakers down there. I went down there and met some of those people. This was, I think, around March of 2016 or 2015, one or the other. And Jerry was down there, and we went down there and met a bunch of people and talked to our representatives. And it just seemed like such a good thing. And all the people were just like me. They felt like me about freedom and saving the country for our grandchildren and our children. And we all wanted to do something, but we all had jobs, and there was only a certain amount we could do, but we all wanted to be volunteers. So I felt good about the crowd. And over the last couple of years, I've been a district captain for a while, and then I transitioned out of that, and I've been an SIA for the state for a year and a half or 2 years. And I just think it's important for us to do this. And so I just kind of got gradually involved, and it's important, so I stay involved.
All right, good deal, Tim. Thank you very much. Okay, now I'm going to go back to Jerry here, and let's get into. Jerry. I think I'm going to solo you here. There you go.
Oh no, solo.
Yeah.
No co-pilot. I'm scared.
So let's start with you and tell us exactly what you do as a state information analyst, an SIA. What are the duties and activities that you focus on?
Okay, so as a state information analyst, we've got leaders, as you mentioned before. And that would include district captains and the other leaders like media liaison and social media warriors and even state directors, all deal with our software system and logging in and doing various things on the website, maybe posting some new articles, maybe just answering questions that somebody has asked of them, how to look that up there. And so if they have problems doing that, then what an SIA does is answer those questions and get them going as good as they can. And so I do that. And then any questions there on that or what?
No question. I think we talked about you have kind of even on a national basis, don't you?
Right. Well, after we passed, I volunteered to help on a national basis, and so I've got to focus more in that direction now. But still, my foot in the ground, or both feet actually, in Indiana, because I grew up there and I live there, so we want Indiana to be the best.
Well, I want everybody to understand that we are so fortunate in the state of Indiana to have these two gentlemen as information analysts, and like Jerry mentioned earlier, we actually have a third one in training that'll be coming on board. But we are very, very fortunate to have these two individuals. And Jerry, I think you mentioned this earlier, but tell us, you also are involved in what we call the help desk.
Right. The help desk is many, well, probably not just software companies, but if you buy something and you have a problem and you don't know how to work it. So in our case here, that would be like you don't know how to log into the website, how you, maybe you're having trouble logging in because your password's not working, etc. So what the help desk does is answer those questions, get these people going so they can use the website a little more effectively and maybe find something, whatever kind of problems they have with the communications over the internet and using their software. That's what the help desk does.
And once again, that help desk is a service available nationally, right?
That's right. Yeah, it's help.conventionofstates.com.
Okay.
So,
well, tell us something I wanted you to touch on. Tell us about the Wiki page.
right. The Wiki page is Wiki. You probably all of you been to Wikipedia, which is an encyclopedia online. Well, Convention of States has their own encyclopedia just for the Convention of States, and so it's wiki.conventionofstates.com. And you can go there and you'll find a lot of articles right on the front page, and links to the rest of the articles are also there. One link would bring up a page. So you can find the Constitution, the Bill of Rights are in there, of course, the Declaration of Independence, the Articles of Confederation, the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers are there. And then in addition to those books, just in wiki format, you can download a PDF to print them out, which might be pretty long. Maybe you don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And you can also get an ebook that you download to your phone, and then you can read it like you were using a Kindle.
Okay, great.
So,
well, it takes a lot of work to keep that up to date. I'm sure, doesn't it, Jerry?
yeah, it does. And a lot of the work really is, since the Constitution doesn't change much, the work would be in adding more items to the wiki. So you'll find Governor Abbott's book. Well, it's actually a paper, and his book is a little longer, but it's the same content for the most part. That's online there, and it came directly from Governor Abbott, his office. And so we got that and some other things. There's a lot of stuff by Robert Nailson. And of course, Indiana's laws, the legislative laws we talked about, are on there for delegates. And there's just hundreds of pages. You can spend hours and hours just reading that wiki.
What's the address on that again, Jerry?
WIKI.conventionofstates.com.
Okay, I meant to have that ready, but let me see if I can get that up there for people to see.
And there it is. Yep.
Wiki conventionofstates.com. Wiki.conventionofstates.com. Okay. I'm sorry, I should have put that up earlier, but forgot to do that. Okay, Jerry, thank you very much.
I just wanted to mention that there's a search box in the upper right-hand corner, and you can search for any term with that search box.
Okay. All right, great. Okay, Tim, let me see if I can get you here. So there you are. All right. Tell us, Tim, what do you do as a system analyst?
Well, a lot of what I do is looking for data cleanup. We have a lot of people that sign up for our webpage, our petitions, and they either put in their information wrong or they're afraid to put in information. You know how it is when you go to sign up for something online, you're not quite sure. Do you want to put your email address in there? Maybe you want to give a fake name. A lot of people do those kind of things. And the problem that we have with that is not that we want to get away with their privacy, but the problem is we can't email their legislator and let their legislator know that they support the Convention of States if we don't know who they are and where they live. Okay. So we have thousands of people in our database across the United States. We have about 1,200 of them right here in Indiana that we don't actually know who they are. And so we're at the 30,000 level, and you figure we have 1,200 people that we don't know who they are. That's a significant number. And then if you were to translate that across the whole United States, we might have 40, 50,000 people that we don't know who they are, that we could tell their legislators they support this. So I spend a good deal of time working on a system that we have to try to figure out who those people are so that we know, we really want to know what legislative district they're in. That's what we're after. So I spend a lot of time on data cleanup. I also, every now and then, the top SIA will ask for people to help on projects in other states. I know Jerry just got done doing one for filling up the new legislators since the year turned over and they got to put new new legislators got elected, they got to fill out who's in our legislative database. Jerry just spent a lot of time helping other states with that. So sometimes I'll help other states with things that they're doing. Whenever they send out a project and they'll say, can any of the SIAs help with this? We try to help those kind of things too. I also produce reports for the state, for Dale, every month on the number of people that we have so that they can track the growth in all the districts.
Yes,
So,
you do. Yes, you do.
in general, we try to help people. If we get a call from, say, a district captain who can't work his Slack, or somebody doesn't know how to send out an email blast or something, Jerry and I are always available to help them get over the rough spots with technology. So if any of you people are thinking about coming to join us and you're worried about your technical competence, Jerry and I can help you right out. So you don't have to worry about that. We have people that can help you do that stuff.
I think that is a very, very important point. I'm glad you brought it up, because especially old folks like myself, and we're very technology oriented in Convention of States, so it can be a hurdle for a lot of people, and so I think it's good that you mentioned that you and Jerry both are there to help in those kinds of instances. So really appreciate that. Okay, great.
And Chris coming on.
And we've got a third one coming on. That's right. So we're in good shape. But hope it stays that way too. All right, guys. I want to thank you very much. Again, Jerry Rowe and Tim Heidenreich, our two system information analysts for the state of Indiana. So thanks, guys. I'm going to take you off now, right?
So long.
All right. Bye-bye. Okay. Well, that just about wraps up our broadcast for this evening. I do want to mention that our next broadcast, and this is a change that we're making starting here in 2019, we're going to a weekly broadcast schedule. So it's going to be more work. But anyway, we will be broadcasting again next Monday evening, the 14th, 7 p.m. And the gentleman I'm going to have on that broadcast, I'll tell you right now, is our regional director, and he will be with us for that evening. And that should wrap up our attempt at introducing you to the individual leaders in our state. Starting then on the 21st, our plan is that we'll be doing the basics presentation again. That basics will be a permanent part of every broadcast. But starting the 21st, we're going to start delving into some different topics related to those basics. And I'll be having another person on to help discuss with me those particular topics. So we'll let you know what those are going to be about at our next broadcast. So I want to wrap up like I normally do. I never can remember the exact quotation here, but it's my favorite quotation from our president, our Convention of States president, Mark Meckler. And that quote, I may not have it exactly right, but basically he's saying that our country is facing a fundamental question. And the question is not, what should we do? The question is, who will decide? And I think that I just like that quote. I think it sums up what Convention of States is all about. And obviously, we think that we, the people, should be making those decisions. So thank you very much for joining us tonight. Remember, we're going to a weekly broadcast schedule now. So our next broadcast will be Monday, January 14th, 7 p.m. Thank you. Have a good evening.